Hey, sorry for the interruption, but we wanted to let you know that this week's episode is brought to you by Spotify for Podcasters. Really cool app. Josiah and I use it for every single show that we bring to you every week. You can edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so you can start creating as soon as you log into the platform. You can easily distribute your podcasts to Spotify and everywhere else the podcasts are heard, just like we do every single week. You can also create video podcasts on Spotify, which is really cool. And of course, you can earn money like I'm doing right now by including ads and even podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free. There's no catch. We really love it. We use it every single week. So we encourage you to go download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. All right, let's get back to the show.
Welcome to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. Each week, join Travis and Josiah as they provide insight into the print on demand industry and equip you with the tools, advice, and strategy you need to achieve success and hopefully have a few laughs along the way. Now, on to this week's show.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Print on Demand Cast. This is the final episode of 2020. It is the final episode of season 1, and Travis is, as you can tell, very emotional.
I'm sad, man. I'm sad
that this is the end. Well, I'm not too sad. This is the end of 2020, but it is the final episode of 2020. Man, so thank you guys so much for joining us so far in season 1. Super excited to get into a little bit of what season 2 may contain. But before we do that, Travis, we're on the other side of Q4, man. Did you make it? Are you alive? Is your staff alive? Did you survive? Everything still intact?
Yeah, man. It was a crazy Q4. I mean, every Q4 is crazy.
Sure,
they all have like different challenges. You know, there's no two Q4s alike. 2020 was no different.
They're just like children.
We're still kind of catching. Yeah, exactly.
Not one's alike. I have my favorite, but
yeah, we're still kind of catching up. You know, so we reduced our temporary staff down.
Sure.
And so, you know, because the volume of orders isn't there,
Right.
but we still have a lot of things that are still kind of trickling in and just trying to figure out what life is like after we had all those bodies and now we have fewer bodies. And so, you know, we're still trying to gain our equilibrium.
how many did you cut as far as like, is it half, 50%, 60%? Like what, from where you were?
Yeah, it's probably, we probably, our temp staff, I think we had like 5 temp staff and we have like,
Okay.
well, and then right now we have a staff of 6, and if you include myself,
Sure.
but 2 of them are gone this week. So it's, you
Okay.
know, there's me and 3 other people trying to, you know, do everything. And so, you know, it's just a little bit, we're not used to it. And,
Yeah.
and also this week is a 4-day week because it's,
Because New Year's.
you know, New Year's Day is on Friday.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get a lot of stuff done with fewer people. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, just another type of challenge that Q4 is bringing us. But we are almost out of it.
That's true. It's very true. I was just talking to one of our production guys today. Like, you know, I always feel every year, I feel like the week after Christmas leading to New Year's should just be one big holiday, because it's always such a weird, like almost like a transition week where you're gonna get stuff done, but there's another holiday coming up. So like you said, usually it's like a 4-day week.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's this weird limbo purgatory. Like you're done with Q4, but you don't quite get to go to Q1 yet. You're just gonna sit here and figure stuff out. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, glad to hear you guys made it through another Q4. We did the same here, and it was crazy as always. But it's nice to get over that hump and to be able to kind of, even today we're meeting and kind of vision casting and trying to figure out what 2021 is going to look like and what we need to do to get to those places. So it's kind of nice to kind of circle the wagons and be head into the new year, you know, kind of collected. So
Yeah. So we've got on our little notes here. We were talking before the show about, just some things that have happened this week, and we decided to throw this in there before we get, to the point of interest and the main event this week. Josiah,
Yes.
you had a little incident that happened this week with your dog, right? Or while you were walking your dog, and I do want to point out to our listeners that your dog is only 5 pounds, if that. But go ahead and tell the story.
To be fair, the oldest dog that I have is 13 pounds.
Whoa.
That's not much better. But listen, I wasn't lifting a dog. If I was lifting something, I would actually feel less embarrassed about this story. So, it was the day after Christmas. Some family stopped by to say goodbye because they're making their transition out to Canada. And so we said bye, and I took the dogs upstairs. And I was walking up the stairs. I was wearing my slippers, my house shoes, I guess. I don't know why I used a Charles Dickens term, but my house slippers, my house shoes. And I was going up the stairs. And so my dog was like running up the stairs, and I was trying to keep up with her, and I started to slip, and I caught myself before I hit the ground or hit the stairs, which Travis knows this, but you, our listeners, don't know this, that the stairs leading up to my apartment are an albatross and a death trap waiting to happen. So I'm just glad the whole staircase didn't fall. But I caught myself, stood up, and when I stood up straight, my entire lower back just locked. And my muscles started spasming, and I couldn't move, couldn't walk. I had to like crawl up the stairs and like use the railing to support myself to stand up. It was absolutely miserable. And the night before, Christmas night, we were watching a movie, and I was sitting in a massage chair in my in-laws' basement. And the massage chair was like, going up and down my back. But when it hit my lower back, it was like exceptionally like tender, and it hurt. And I told Madeline, like, maybe I need to go to a chiropractor because this feels weird to me. And then, not even 12 hours later, my entire back locked up. So this week has been a lot of ice, a lot of heat, a lot of painkillers, a lot of chiropractic visits, a lot of stretches. And my God, it's only Tuesday. So this 4-day week seems to be crawling for me. So I'm trying, I'm going to Texas in a week. I have company coming on Thursday. Some of my family's coming in for New Year's. So I'm like, I at least need to be pseudo mobile. So I'm not like, just an invalid, not being able to do anything this weekend and celebrate the New Year's. But yeah, I guess welcome to old age. My wife is saying that this is what she gets for marrying someone older than she is. And, I have not taken, I don't think those jokes are funny. And and so, but I will say it has gotten better. I'm a little more mobile, of course, and hopefully by the end of the week I'll be close to normal. But this just kind of highlights the truth that I should probably actually exercise and work out more so my back muscles aren't fragile as a paper mache bag, apparently. So that'll be what I'm reassessing in my personal life going into 2021, knowing that I can't be as young and spry as I used to be, which is always a sobering realization. But so that's the story of my back.
That's an awesome story, and I can totally relate. I mean, I'm a little older than you, or a lot older than you, depending on who you ask. And I've also had a lot of back issues, so I have a lot of sympathy for you, man. I just think it's funny that it was your dog that caused it. Because your dog is so teeny tiny.
Yeah. She was going up the stairs, and I was trying to keep up with her because we have her on a leash because she likes to do whatever she wants. And we had a dog trainer this last year, and he's like, "Just put her on a leash when you go home." And I said, "Okay, cool. I'll do that." And but it's a short leash, and we don't have a harness for her. So when she's running, the collar's like choking her, and I'm like, I got to keep up with her because I don't want to like have her hang herself on these like death trap stairs that we have. So instead, I just sacrificed my lower back for my dog. But speaking of dogs, Travis, I'll throw this back to you. What we were talking about before we hit record is you guys very recently got a new addition to the Ross family. in the form of a puppy. So yeah, tell us about this puppy and his apparent ability to use Instagram. What is happening with this dog?
Well, that's right. We actually did get a new dog. He is a Cockalier, which is a part Cocker Spaniel, part King Charles Cavalier, and his name is River, and he is freaking adorable. I mean, I'm not kidding.
Yeah, no,
and shameless plug, you all should go follow. You should follow River on Instagram. You just go to River the Cockalier. It's River _the Cockalier, and you'll agree. I promise you'll start loving every single Instagram post. But it's actually River himself. It's River himself that's actually posting, which is really phenomenal. And it makes sense that he would, this type of, supernatural dog would come and live with our family because we are pretty much awesome. And River fits right in.
It is. And it's amazing. I mean, he doesn't get to see the pictures in color because, dogs are colorblind, but he's posting in color, which is awesome. So he doesn't even quite grasp the awesome pictures that he's posting just because his coloring is awesome. He's got the white on his nose and his forehead, and he's just an adorable looking dog. And
he is.
I have yet to actually meet him in person, so I look forward to how does you have two dogs? You have an older dog. What's the older dog think of River?
Willow is her name, and she is the perfect big sister. She's actually a golden retriever, and is very well behaved. So I think she's kind of trying to take River under her wing and show him the ropes. And they play all the time, and they've been a very it's been really good, I think, for both of them to have each other as they for Willow just having somebody to kind of keep her active, and then for River just to show him the ropes. So it's been really cool. So one last story before we get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Josiah, you had an interesting experience with a shipment you received from one of your suppliers. Why don't you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah. So as you guys know that are listening, we've kind of aired our grievances with stock availability over this last Q4 season and how it's hard to get anything. And gray crew necks were chief among those for us, and so we ordered some that were drop shipped. We had to case quantity, whatever. So took a while to get here, which makes sense now. You'll get it when I finish the story. But it took a minute to get in, and so yesterday, I'm having our production staff lift boxes onto a table for me so I can start to sort through the shipment and. I, take out the first small pile and the second and the third. And as I'm reaching in for the fourth, I feel something that doesn't really belong in a package of soft crew neck sweaters. And it was an empty 375 milliliter bottle of Jose Cuervo Especial, made with blue agave silver tequila. I'm looking at the bottle right now. Maybe we'll post it on our social media so you guys can see that I'm not lying. But there's like maybe a drop in it left. So it's. I was shocked. I thought it was full first. I will say I was like, hey, maybe they forgot and just gifted me a bottle of Jose Cuervo, which I'm not going to be mad at because the best kind of tequila is the one you don't pay for typically. So I was all about it, and then I realized, no, it is empty. So they must have had a Christmas party shipping out some crew neck sweatshirts, and so when my rep gets back from her vacation, I'm going to take a picture and be like, hey, found this in a box that you guys shipped to us. So I don't know how you guys want to handle this, but it looks like there was a party and a good time had by all. So, and we got our stuff and it was all there and accounted for. So I'm not mad about it. I just think it's hilarious that I found a bottle of Jose Cuervo.
And next time you send a shipment, go ahead and fill the bottle. We would appreciate that.
Yeah, if you could make it full and then also have some margarita mix and salt, that would be great. So that'll be my request. I'll take care of the limes because they probably don't hold well in a unrefrigerated box. But yeah, so that is some ridiculousness that we are covering before we get into, this week's point of interest?
The point of interest, baby. Oh, yeah. Groovy.
So, Travis, full transparency with the listeners. There are times when we get on this before we press record and we're like, so what's our point of interest? And we do a quick Google search through our Google machines just to see what's out there that is actually of interest. And we have found something that is legitimately, to me, very interesting, because we talked about the growing sublimation market. We talked about how in that article that we were referencing in that episode, how they said that home decor would be something that we're going to see, being used in sublimation more and more. And so we have found print-on-demand lamps through Printify, is it Unique Cube? Tell us a little bit about Unique Cube, what we've learned so far for these print-on-demand lamps.
Yeah, they're really, really cool. And it looks like there's two sizes. There's a 7.9 inch cube. They're cube lights. So there's 6 sides. Sure. One side has a plug-in, and then the other sides obviously are just, don't have the plug-in. But you can actually decorate all 6 sides, including the one with the plug-in. Yep. And so one size is the 7.9 inch, and then cube, and then the other one is the standard size. It's 11.8 inches cubed, and I mean, these things look freaking awesome. Imagine a cube with a plug in it. You can use it as a hanging lamp if you want. It says you can also just set it on its side, as obviously any of the sides except for the one with the plug in it. It does not include a light bulb, and they only use like a 10-watt bulb or an LED, because they don't want a lot of heat in it. Sure. Or a 6-watt bulb is for the smaller size, so that they want to. Obviously, it's not going to light up your whole room, but man, these look so good when they're decorated
for ambience, mood lighting. These things look pretty dope. There's one in particular that I keep looking at. It's like the Constellations one. That's just super, super cool. That in that instance could be educational, help your kids learn about the constellations or whatever. But it looks really, really awesome. And for reference, they're saying that the small one is about the height of a beer bottle. The large one is about the height of a wine bottle. So,
or a Jose Cuervo bottle.
I was just gonna say that, yes, or a Jose Cuervo bottle. So I mean, they're decent size and they look super, super cool. It looks like from what I can see on their website, which by the way the website is uniquecube.com. That's UNIQCUBE.com, uniquecube.com. You can go check this out and customize your own. But it looks like the standard size is a pound and the small one is 0.8 pounds, so pretty light. But they are made of a polyester film. It's waterproof, easy to wash, easy to clean. But one thing that we're seeing, because I think when we first heard about it, you and I are both like, that's sublimation. But in the description here on the website, they're talking about texture on the surface. So that either means that the substrate is textured somehow, or maybe they're doing it in a UV print process where they're adding some texture. It's kind of hard to say without actually having one in our hands. They do come with a 2-year warranty, which is actually pretty cool. And for pricing, it looks like you can get one. The customizable one's $87, and then looks like most of them are $78 after that. But these are available through Printify, which is to say that we could probably sell them and mark them up. Is that the understanding of why they're on Printify?
Yep. Yeah. They are fulfilled in Europe, so you're going to have some decent shipping costs. But on Printify you can get them for $80.75, and then they're saying that shipping is, well, let me look to the United States. It's $12.50 additional for shipping. But I mean, these are so cool. If you had some really sharp designs, I think you could probably sell them for over $100 pretty easily.
Oh yeah.
Because they are just so unique. I mean, Unique Cube is the brand name, and they are really, really unique. One thing I did think about just after, when you were just talking about the texture on one side, and we kind of touched on this before when we were talking about it, but they may be sublimating the side where, like the inside, and then the outside has a texture on it. So it still might be sublimation, but the inside might be flat. And I don't know. It'd be really interesting. I don't know that I'm going to rush out and spend $80 on just trying to figure out if it's cool or not, or how they do it.
Yeah.
I mean, both you and I were looking at this thing thinking, for $80, I might want to figure out how to do this, and because I mean, for our companies, for our production partners, our partners that are, fulfilling through us, man, that would be really a cool thing to do. I don't know if these guys have a patent on it, and, frankly, I don't really have the time to do all of the research that they would need and to get all the stuff to do it right. But really, really unique, cool idea. I was super stoked to find it. So you can go, if you're already selling on Printify, you can design these things and put them in your shop immediately. They've even got some mock-ups there that you can use on Printify, and they're really, really, really cool.
Yeah, I'm a really big fan, and it's a cool, unique gift idea, like Travis was saying, for a birthday, anniversary, whatever. I mean, you can literally, any occasion, you can make this, and it's something that will get you. It's a practical gift because people will use it for lighting, for decoration. It's not something that's just kind of like a pop socket, you know what I mean? Where it's like, hey, thanks, I'll maybe use this pop socket. It's a cool lamp, and they're really, really, they look really sharp. So super exciting. Yeah, if you're on Printify, and listen, if you're listening and you want to figure out what this is about and you buy one, let us know. Yeah. Let us know if you buy yourself a Unique Cube, or if you feel impressed to make one with the Print on Demand Cast logo and send it to us as a gift. We will gladly accept it in our mailbag. But no, seriously, if you guys find out anything else about it, or more, you learn more, let us know, because it is super cool and we want to learn as much as we can about it. But for now, we know that it's available on Printify for you to fulfill in your shop. So take advantage of that right now, because it's an awesome gift. So with that, we will transition out of the point of interest, and we will move directly into the main event of the episode.
Ladies and gentlemen, the main event!
Travis, we mentioned at the top, this is the final episode of 2020. It's the final episode of Season 1. And we kind of wanted to do a 2020 in review, just kind of in our businesses. We know, obviously, and we'll acknowledge readily, that 2020 on a personal level for everybody was probably one of the most challenging years ever. Nothing short of a shit show in almost every way you could possibly imagine. But there are, even on personal levels, there's a lot of silver linings, at least for me. And we won't get into necessarily kind of our personal silver linings for 2020 and what it's kind of taught us. But there always is positives, and coming out of 2020 unchanged on a personal level is kind of a lost opportunity, because you had plenty of opportunities in 2020 to really be with your family, be with yourself, be present, because you have no other choice, and kind of do some good self-inventory. You know what I mean? But in business-wise, in 2020, we were talking about this before we press record. 12 months ago, Travis Ross, 12 months ago, was getting ready to transition out of having his own shop, selling your mug ovens and your machines and your printers and all of that, selling it all because you want to do drop ship. And here you are 12 months later, you're back in a shop. And so a lot changes in a year. But what goals did you have on the outset of 2020? And I know they're probably going to be, some of them will probably be drastically different, or maybe you've kind of fulfilled them in a different way now. Maybe they came to fruition in a different way than you originally intended or had envisioned. But what business wise, what goals did you have at the outset of 2020? Did you and did you reach them, or did you come close? Where did that land with you for Make Your Mark Designs throughout 2020?
Well, you said it. At the end of last year, I was, reeling from a very successful Q4, but planning on moving out at the end of January of my fulfillment, center and selling all of my stuff. I was scrambling to try to get everything, out of there. And I had a month to do it in because we had just had, like I said, had an awesome 2020. My goals for 2020 were really, I didn't really have a lot of time to reflect on 2019 and all of what I had done, because I'd kind of done that when I had made the decision to get out of production and get out of that particular fulfillment house. And so, that warehouse. And so my whole goal really was to kind of decide, back to one of our earliest episodes, what do I want to be when I grow up,
Yeah.
And at the time I wanted to be a drop shipper because I wanted to have some, I don't know, some fulfillment. That sounds kind of pie in the sky, but I didn't find what I was looking for in that warehouse, the first go around. And I think part of that was because I didn't have the right mindset. I didn't have the right equipment to fully realize the my full goal of being a fulfillment center. I was very limited in what I could do, even though I did have this awesome piece of machinery, this mug oven. It was limiting in what I could do in that particular piece of equipment. And then I think I probably moved into DTG too quickly at the time, because I didn't have the volume that I needed to really support the printer. And so really 2020 for me was kind of taking my licks and trying to learn from them. And then we move into, for me, when we moved into kind of the pandemic and everybody's on lockdown, and, we had this incredible Mother's Day because nobody could go to the stores. Everybody was inside and everybody was shopping online. Luckily I had, set up my print partners fast enough. But there was a little bit of regret that I could have made so much more money had I been fulfilling them myself, but I had to kind of weed through that as well. But out of that pandemic, or out of that, lockdown and the virus, locking everybody down, and there were some opportunities for the EIDL, which was the Economic Disaster Loan, EID. I can't remember what the acronym was, but there was an opportunity to take a pretty large loan, and the payments. I mean, it was an incredible loan, and I don't know what our listeners feel about debt, but it was like a 30-year amortization schedule and a 3% interest. It was just an absolute no-brainer to put that money in the bank and then have it as with the ability to do something with it. And what I did with it was I bought a bunch of more equipment and moved back into a fulfillment place. And now I have, I have the volume that I need to support the different printing methods that I've purchased equipment for, because I've got a contract with somebody that has a lot of volume in these different places that I didn't have volume in. And now I can grow into those with my own business, as well as take on new clients that have all different there's a lot of really cool things for our business that I didn't even know that I had a goal for. Because like I said, I think the goal I had really for 2020 was to just try to figure out, to learn my lesson that from 2019 and what I had done wrong, and really reflect. And I feel like I had an opportunity to do that, particularly with the lockdowns and all that. And what it turned into, obviously the jury's still out on what this is going to be, what Make Your Mark is going to continue to be. There's still a lot of work ahead, but so far I am thoroughly enjoying this iteration of a fulfillment warehouse compared to my first iteration. This is so much more fulfilling. There's so much more opportunity. there's so many more ways I can go. And
Right.
so that's kind of my 2020 in a nutshell. So, I mean, that's basically the answer to your question. So I want to turn it around on you and
Yeah.
and ask you basically the same question. What did you guys have goals? Did you personally have goal for the business? And
Right.
did you actually reach that goal in 2020?
Yeah, so I will kind of piggyback off something you said, where when the lockdowns initially happened, we found ourselves having a great a couple of months because Amazon Merch by Amazon shut down, like everything was done, and so people that were fulfilling shirts and mugs were people like us who were fulfilling them ourselves through Seller Fulfilled Prime or what have you. And so we were kind of experiencing this kind of the opposite, where a lot of people who had businesses that were brick and mortar were having had to shut down, couldn't continue their businesses. But because of the business model that we had and the print on demand and e-commerce aspect of it, we were actually having a really good couple months there. Mm-hmm. So it was definitely a blessing to be able to say that, because it was during a time where not everyone could say that.
Yeah.
Going into 2020, of course, no one called what it would become, in March. I remember, my niece's wedding in February was like the last big get together that we had before, the shit hit the fan for 2020. But going into it, we set a couple goals. We wanted to land a couple, my father-in-law and I both kind of made the goal of landing a big fish account, a big account that was one of those like, hey, we'll swing for the fences. No idea if it's going to work out, but we're going to give it a shot. And both of us landed one of those types of accounts. Now it's a matter of, we have a partnership with Podomatic, which is actually another podcast kind of platform where they'll distribute it for you and you pay monthly, stuff like that. So we're kind of integrated with them and their back end for the merch for their podcasters, which was an awesome opportunity. And then again with Nerds Clothing, who does a lot of licensing stuff. But the Podomatic is still kind of taking form because they officially announced it like in November. And so we're just now kind of getting the signups and people signing up and the traffic. So we'll probably be able to tell more in 2021 what that's going to actually become. Because I'm sure, as you know as well, and as those listening, landing an account is great, but then it's whether or not that account produces to the level that you hoped it would or that they hoped it would. And so there's lots of stuff still left up to chance almost, just to see how it kind of all boys out. And then we met this morning and we set a dollar amount goal for the year. Last year, we saw what we did last year and said, okay, we want to hit this. It was kind of a pie in the sky goal. Like, hey, let's go shoot for the fences. Let's just say, X amount is what we want at the end of the year in 2020. And we ran those numbers today, and we were 50,000 shy of that goal, which isn't bad. Because we did really well. We way outperformed last year, a little shy of the goal this year, but it was good because we knew that was kind of a lofty aspiration goal. Like, we're going to hit this number, and to see that we even came that close was super encouraging. And it's one of those things where now we're like in the third or fourth year of this business model, and we've just come, according to the experts at our CPA. We've come to a point where, we're on the trajectory now that this year is the one where we work hard and pull the nose up. We're going to actually not just break even, but we're going to actually start seeing some actual real growth, and which is awesome because as and as those listening, building a business those first 3 or 4 years is just a grind, man. You really have to prepare yourself for just the hustle. Whether it's FBA or print on demand and stuff like that. So, and in 2020 it kind of taught us to. I think it made everybody kind of re-envision and become a little bit more lean more on ingenuity and how to attack things from a different angle, because so much of the traditional avenues that you have weren't necessarily available in 2020 with all the COVID stuff. So. Certainly challenging. But I think that we learned a lot this last year. We brought on wooden signs, perfected our process on there. Sleeve printing, all masks, learning how to print on masks. I wasn't planning on doing that at the beginning of 2020 because who would have ever worn a mask? You know what I mean?
Right.
Now they're everywhere. And learning how to sublimate them, how to direct-to-garment print them, which one's better? Spoiler alert, sublimating looks so much better than print-on-demand masks. But just stuff like that, like you say, just kind of roll with the punches. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't see what's coming, but we've learned a lot this last year. So, but overall, it's been really good. And I think we kind of touched on this too. Like, the biggest takeaway from 2020 for you, if you could, again, just in a sentence, what was your biggest takeaway from this last year?
In a sentence, man, that's tough. The biggest takeaway, I think, from 2020, really, would be one of two things. It would be, no matter what's going on, take the time to plan, because I really didn't do that last year.
Sure.
I mean, to the degree that I would have liked to, and to the degree that we are planning on doing this year.
Sure.
And I'm really, really excited about some strategic planning that we're going to be doing in January with our whole team. And I'm really excited about that. So that would be one of the biggest takeaways. I think another huge takeaway from 2020 is to realize, like we've been alluding, that even when that I guess that gold is purified in the fire, so whenever there's something that is difficult, is challenging, there really can be something really good that is birthed from that, or is refined in that hard time. And I think that we would do well to remember that and look for that, not only in business, but in, at the risk of sounding, personal development-y, in our own lives. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, for sure.
There were some good things that happened this year. And we get so inundated with news, with the bad news every single day. We forget to look for the silver linings, like you started off with, because there were a heck of a lot of silver linings in my personal life and in my business life. And I think 100%. That's probably the biggest takeaway from 2020. Don't forget to look for those silver linings.
Yeah, I would agree, man. I think 2020 has, in my personal life, and it's equated to business as well. But like you're saying, leaning into the adversity, right? Because I think a lot of people's default response is to shy away from adversity. But
or get
when you
really
lean into
upset with it, get mad at it, fight against it, push against it.
Yep. I think, whether you shy away from it or whether you're angry with it, I think either way you're trying to almost avoid it. But it just kind of that fight or flight response, like I'm going to get really angry and I'm going to be mad about it, but I don't really want to look at it. But if you lean into it, that's what then translates to that refining process. And it sucks and it's hard sometimes and you feel the heat of the fire, but you'll come out on the other end more refined. It's like the idea that, faith can't exist without fear or doubt. Both of those things have to exist for you to grow in faith. So, growth doesn't come without adversity. You have to have adversity to experience growth. And it's the way that you deal with the adversity that will then kind of dictate the amount of growth or lack thereof that's on the other side of it. So, I think 2020, business-wise, personal, that would be one of my biggest takeaways too, is lean into the rough spots, and you're gonna find new printing processes. You're gonna find a new research and development. Hey, I figured out we can do this, and let's pivot here or whatever. It's the word again, pivot. We'll throw that in one more time for 20.
Here we go, pivot. Pivot.
So yeah, man, I think 2020 has been one for the books for sure, and in every aspect of life. And I look forward to what 2021 has to offer. And hopefully, I keep seeing these things on TikTok that are like, listen, none of you say that 2020 is your year and you're just going to walk. What we're going to do is we're going to walk in real quietly. Don't touch anything. Be very careful because 2020 was so crazy. But I really do think that 2021 is going to be a really big year of growth for both of our businesses, and excited to see the fruit of the seeds that were planted in 2021. And, speaking of the ends of things we alluded to, we're going to call this episode the end of season 1 of the Print on Demand cast. Before we get into what you can expect from season 2, Travis, what has been some of your favorite moments of season 1? Do you have a favorite episode? Do you have a favorite moment, favorite sound bumper or whatever, like intro sound? What are your thoughts on the season 1 of the Print on Demand cast?
I enjoyed our interviews. I don't really want to give too much away about what season 2 is going to have, but I'm looking forward to more of those. I did enjoy. I think we did a couple deep dives on sublimation that were pretty, I think, beneficial to some listeners, and I think people got a lot out of that. And then, just the communications that we were receiving from some of our listeners and people, reaching out to us and saying, "Hey, I have a question," or "Hey, I appreciate your podcast." That means a lot, and will continue to mean a lot. And seeing people actually listening to us blabber on, for almost an hour sometimes, about this is really encouraging. So there's, season 1 was, in my estimation, it was a success. I mean, we are professionals in no way, shape, or form, but we we do really enjoy this, and we want to, like we always say, try to bring value, try to make somebody smile. And and I think season 1 was a success, even if we potentially went on a little long at some, certain times, or weren't as professional at different times. Overall, I think it was a good season. What about you?
Yeah, no, I agree, dude. I think, if I had to make an analogy, I think season 1 is a good foundation for us to build the rest of the house on, if that makes sense. I think we had a lot of good episodes. I really enjoyed the licensing episode. I enjoyed our conversations with Mike, the HR episode, and just kind of hearing his story. I am looking forward to what season 2 holds in terms of interviews and being able to line up more guests now that we have a season under our belt and can kind of say, hey, this is analytically who you're going to reach, and this is the advantages of coming on and talking and sharing an episode with us, which has been super, super fun. The biggest thing I think for me, man, you and I have conversations like this normally. It's normally just bantering back and forth, talking about business, joking, telling stories, whatever. And so I was really happy that we were able to actually start, press record, get stuff out there, not knowing who the hell would listen or who the hell would care.
Right.
So, but that's why, seeing people start to interact, reach out, comment, thank us for the information, saying, I'm so glad this exists because I'm just getting into print on demand, which is the exact reason why we decided to actually do this, is because there wasn't anything in the print on demand space that was worth listening to. No offense to everyone else out in the space, but I just didn't find anything really resourceful. So
really
it's
grabbed.
really exciting. Yeah. No, not at all. But it's always fun to just hop on and chat with you, and because apart from this podcast, we're so busy that the opportunities to actually hang out and talk for an hour are pretty slim to none. So at the very least, it's nice to have some penciled in time to just shoot the shit and talk business and have someone on and catch up. So for sure. But I do think season 1 was a success. Season 2, what is there to expect? Like you said, interviews. In the notes you said businessy types. That sounds professional. Yes, but like you were saying, we're gonna go find the businessy types because we're not experts in everything, and we want to go find some resourceful information that isn't in our heads, right?
Right. Exactly. I mean, accounting, setting up your business, setting up like reporting and things like that, there are some really, really great people that we both have a relationship with that can speak to those things a lot better than we can. And then there's other people that are literally in the print on demand space that have different perspectives. And I am excited about talking to them. And so I'm excited about getting them on the show so we can learn from them, but also share what we learn with our audience. So that's one thing is just more interviews. I really think we've got a couple lined up already, and we're looking forward to doing those. But other things that we'll be expecting in season 2 are updates, of course, on how our businesses are doing and what we're trying, things we're learning in our businesses. Because I mean, when we started this podcast, we had a spreadsheet, that said, well, we're going to talk about this, we're going to talk about this, and all of these different ideas. We've probably done half of those, maybe something like that. Sure. But a lot of the ideas that I think have become some of our best episodes have just been, hey, I was doing this, or I was thinking about this. I think our business or our listeners could potentially learn from this. And so as we learn stuff, we're going to share that stuff with our audience. Sure. And frankly, I'm really excited about that, because I'm intrigued with how far the rabbit hole goes with this print on demand thing. We always talk about when we were back at that NBM show in Portland and just how we felt like we were drinking from a water hose or a fire hose. And I still feel like that some days. There are so many directions you can go with this business. And so part of my excitement is to kind of go there in my own business, but then also bringing on other people that I can learn from that have gone to those other places and then share them with our listeners.
Yeah, 100%. I think like we were talking when we had, Mike on, or we had Ken Ryle on talking about, licensing, copywriting. We are the first listeners in all of those interviews and episodes. And so it's fun to learn and grow from those, but then to, like you said, spread the love, spread the information to those of you that are listening, that are in the print on demand space. So, man, I'm super excited for season 2. Maybe even a video element. I think it could be cool to do some episodes with video, just if we have pictures or something that's more visually appealing, that we're talking about examples, that kind of stuff. Having that as kind of a resource as well. That if you're listening from work or from home, you want to throw up on YouTube or pull up the Facebook page and see what we were talking about as you were listening. We could definitely do that as well. And you'll be able to see Travis's brilliant COVID hair and the side-by-side representation. Side-by-side shots of him and Zac Efron, because he says his hairstyle is going to be very similar to Zac Efron in High School Musical. So I'm not going to let him cut his hair until we have that side-by-side comparison, regardless of what opens up between now and then. It's just not allowed for the sake of the show. So aside from like his stunning good looks and his youthfulness, we look exactly the same. Yeah. If you just look at the hair and just the hair, it's, dead nuts. They're doppelganging the whole thing. So Travis, anything else before we put a bow on this thing and wrap it up for 2020 and season 1? Nope. Hope everybody had a Merry Christmas, and this is coming out Wednesday, so hopefully you'll have a Happy New Year, or if you listen to it later. Thanks again for listening, everybody. We really appreciate our audience, and can't say enough about what it means to us to have you keep coming back and listen to our ramblings. Yes, it's always good to know that people are listening to what we're putting out there, because all we see is just the Skype screens and microphones, and just throw it out there, and hope you guys are enjoying what you're hearing. So, as Travis said, thank you guys so much for listening. As always, you can get the podcast at printondemandcast.com. Email us at info@printondemandcast.com if you have a question or a topic that you'd like us to cover. Rate and subscribe on iTunes. Leave us a 5-star review for our awesome sound bumpers and intro and outro musics that change the world and touch people's hearts and minds. For that alone, leave the 5-star review. But thank you guys so much, Travis. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. Have a very Happy New Year, and we will see you guys in Season 2 of the Print on Demand Cast.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Print on Demand Cast. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you've got a question or a suggestion for the show, send Travis and Josiah an email at info@printondemandcast.com. Take a minute to rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget to subscribe now so you don't miss next week's episode. See you next week.